live, even though it circles first, we be live before the countdown starts on our end.
Oh, okay.
And so
Nice.
it's like, okay, well, I'll be waiting for the countdown to finish and we already live. But anyway, what's up, beautiful people? It's the bros again. We're back for another episode of Bro Study. This will probably be a lighter to heavier or middle conversation tonight. Some of the things we're going to discuss, but you know, as we always start, first of all, hold on, let me pull this up. Let me see what we're looking like on the Book of Faces, bro. We gotta make sure we look good.
Oh, okay.
Make sure we look good.
Yeah.
You know, can't be out here looking a fool. Come chat with the bros. Boom, boom, boom. I need to edit this so I can tag you. Dang, my phone about to die too.
Uh-oh.
That's okay though. I'm on my Puda. I'm on my computer. Bro, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Good, man. You know.
Another week.
Processing 2020.
Yeah, 2020 is just a lot to process. But to those who are at a certain level, it can be done, right? And it can be done in a way where you get some clarity and some positivity out of it, you know, because that's the big thing too right now. A lot of people are, and we've been talking about this here lately, but a lot of people are looking at 2020 so negative, so bad, and it's this, it's that. But at the same time, man, 2020 is really, like we've been saying for the last couple of weeks, it literally still is about that 2020 vision and bringing a lot of clarity. And it's removing the veil from a lot of stuff that we didn't see just going along with the status quo, or what they say, the norm. We were in the norm before we had something to really just derail our whole order of operations. Now it's like, whoa, we see so much. We see some stuff. We see even with sports, college basketball. Man, it's a lot. And here I am thinking I ain't had nothing to talk about. I was just thinking about everything we're seeing right now, even with college sports and high school sports about to start back. So 2020 really is still about that 2020 vision. It's about the lens in which you take it all in.
Right. Yeah. So still, was it month number 8? So we still got 4 more months to go, or 5, including this one. November is approaching. The NBA just started back. Some schools are not playing sports. Some schools are not going back to class. A lot of people not going back to work. That extra $600 a week on that unemployment has run out. So we moved into a new phase of this crazy 2020 So
we turned into a whole nother alley. We turned into a whole nother back alley that we thought, oh, okay, the streets a little dark. It's unfamiliar. I don't know this side of town. Let me make sure, I'm good. Got my stuff with me because I don't know. And now you just turn. We're making a right turn straight into the alley. With a brick wall up ahead. But again, it's all about that. I think it's all about that mindset and perspective,
Yeah. So who you got? You got Mike or you got Roy Jones?
Man, you know what? I have two thoughts on that. So right now, as it stands, I take Mike. And then here's why I say that. Because I think he's been training longer at this point than out of the two of them. Age and all that stuff is not much of a difference, but Roy I feel like he's having further to go or further distance to get back in that fighting shape. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos going around. He was throwing some jabs. It's like, meanwhile, Tyson in commercials flipping tires and running and stuff on the beach.
Yeah, he just look more scary.
Yeah, like that's it. And even if you look at their careers, a lot of people, I've been hearing podcasts talk about it, for the last week or so since the news came out. It's one of those things like who had the best career, and people are saying that. I think if you take them in their prime, and it's still two thoughts for me. If you take them in their prime and they were in the same weight class, I give it to Roy, because the quickness, he had it all, man. He had the power, he had the shiftiness, the quickness, the endurance. And you still can't negate the fact that Tyson was going in there, hitting people one time and they were dead. Like, once. So it's like, okay, would he have had the same thing if, he had competition enough to go 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds, So I don't know, man.
He probably would have lost to Roy. And because he's a better fighter.
Roy would have tagged the let's put Mike down into middleweight. Let's put Mike down into his class. Both of them at their prime. Take that Tyson, take that Olympic Tyson.
I got Roy Jones.
And you take Roy Jones a hit. Oh man. I mean, dude. Again, it's one of those things. It's always going to be an argument, right? But yeah, right now I'm taking Tyson, but at their prime, man, if they were in the same weight class, man, I just think Roy Jones was like the combination. If you would take Mike Tyson and Mayweather, and they had some kind of scientific experiment, child, it would be Roy Jones, man.
I can see that.
Like the power, the quickness, just the way he moved, man, in the ring. I was watching, they've been showing a lot of more highlights and stuff have been surfacing on like social media and stuff. And it's like, Roy Jones was a bad boy. You know, Mike Tyson was at that glory age of heavyweight, so people remember that a lot more. And then when Roy Jones came along, it was still like, it was at a time where it was like, you heavyweight or just other, you know what I'm saying? Because think about that, Tyson, Holyfield, all these guys at that Riddick Bowe, all these guys, the list goes on and on in heavyweight. It was just like a maybe 15-year span where it was the stuff. And until recently, in the last, 5 to 8 years, we haven't seen the heavyweight class be like it is now with that resurgence. So, yeah, man. But I'm excited, man. The backside of that, bro, I really don't want to see it, man. I don't want them older gentlemen, because they're not old for sure, 50s. I don't want those older gentlemen to get hurt, man.
I do.
You do?
Mm-hmm. Because they want to. And what would Mike Tyson be if he wasn't a boxer? You know what I mean? Like, that's what you came here to do. And if that's who you are, I want to see it. And if you're saying, hey, I'm going to die for what I am or who I am, why am I going to be like, nah, man, I want you to stay here and be 99 years old talking about how you was in the 90s? No, I don't. If you can still do what you do best, I want to see it. I don't want to see you go out, in an ugly way. But if you don't mind that, and you understand that you're going to try to take care of yourself, hey, I'm with that. I'll rock with it. I accept the terms and risk. You know what I mean?
Man, I just think either one of those dudes, man, even with the helmet and protective gear, and if it was more set up almost like a sparring match with the protective gear, like if either one of them land the right punch, dude,
it'll be epic. And guess what? It'll be a historical story.
If Roy can get 3/4 of his speed mixed with his power back for that fight, and Mike can get 3/4 of his power, which I think he's probably past it already. I'm thinking he's probably pretty much there. And they land the right punch, Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
And they land the right punch, man.
Yeah, it could be ugly. So what does that say about where society is right now? It's 2020, and the biggest fight we got coming up this year is from two 50-something-year-old men who were big in the 90s.
Man, it's something you said a long. Oh, go ahead. I think you're going into it. Something you mentioned to me a long time ago, and I was like, bro, I ain't even thought about that.
Well, recently I said I feel like we're living in 1996 all over again. So it's like a
Yeah,
24-hour cycle or 24-year cycle.
right.
Because like everything from the mid 90s when it was in that glory of the decade popping, all of those iconic figures who had blossomed during that time, they're like re-blossoming again today. It's like
So
that's who we're talking about.
what was Kobe's draft
90,
class?
96.
Okay, 96. What documentary just came out?
The Bulls from
No,
96
but
to 98.
after. Okay, after that though. Have you
Oh,
seen
was
the
it?
kid from Coney Island? Have you seen that
Mm-mm.
yet?
Mm-mm.
Oh, bro. Dope.
It was good.
It's a good, well put together, man. And it gave you a lot of insights on some stuff that you just didn't, especially with us still being young in that era.
Mm-hmm.
But it gave you a lot of insights on. It's amazing how many of those guys like kind of grew up together in that time. Like Kevin Garnett and all them guys, they were cool. Sham God, all those jokers were in that area, man. They was staying in the same house, having sleepovers and all this stuff, and just balling against each other. And then they showed a picture of the draft class, and it was like, there we go again. That same year, keep coming back at us. Like it's crazy. So when you said that, like every week is giving me another reason to say Brandon was on to something when he said that, man. Like the Twilight Zone of we're in the mid 90s all over again. Because
Look who they talking about. Bill Clinton. He was the donkey of the day today.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton? He ain't been president since 96.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about him again? See what I mean?
96 again.
Master P is like one of the biggest, influences in the hip hop culture right now because he's, turning into this businessman, this family guy. Man, that was his time, 96, 98. No Limit Soldier, you know what I mean?
Speaking of that, have you seen any of that?
Oh, and he had a documentary come out too, huh? No, I haven't seen it yet. I want to.
Bro,
that was one of my favorite groups, man. That was a time period right there.
It was. And again, it gives you a lot of like behind the scenes stuff that you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like even the connection of No Limit and Cash Money. And here's another thing that's really huge about it. Me being young and us being young at that time when they were really popping, it's like you would think they were in New Orleans the whole time. Like No Limit was just straight out of New Orleans. Man, he was in Cali. He had a stint in Cali, a stint in Texas. Like, whoa! And even the first part of that, it brought some stuff. Even a lot of them have the true tattoos. So that was the first thing before No Limit, and that started in Cali. So it's a lot of good stuff, man. And I didn't spoil anything for sure. Everybody who may watch and say, "Oh, no spoilers." That was no spoilers. It's good, man. It's a lot of good stuff coming out right now. That, like you said, it still makes you think about almost like Twilight Zone. It's stuff that's bringing back these icons from the 90s.
Will and Jada were the biggest thing in the mid 90s. How in the world did they become the biggest topic again? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go, because I was turning the bus in a different direction.
But on the flip side of that, though, I feel like we've been taking some L's because everything that started off as something that started off empowering, seems as though is some kind of way it's been tainted with some misinformation or trauma or triggering. So, for example, there's only a handful, if only one, person in our community who has a very, very big platform in talking about life and health and healing, and that's Jada. So Jada had low key had become the Ellen / Oprah / health guru all in one, and she went from healer to enabler or sick person. So she went from the healer to the sick person. You know what I mean? Like Steven Jackson, he went from leading the movement with George Floyd after he was killed to now nobody wants to hear what he has to say because, the triggering with the whole Jewish comments. Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion are two of the biggest artists in our community, and both of them are on display in some type of debacle that shows a whole lot of misunderstanding and unhealthy ways of displaying emotions.
Yeah.
So with a lot of our symbols that are getting pushed out there to help us feel inspired or empowered or elevated, something is happening to them. Like Nick Cannon took the torch and wanted to put the Dr. Sabi documentary out. He went from being this guy, leader, you about to do it for the culture, and boom, now man, we can't trust nothing you say because you don't even stand on what you say. You sitting
Yeah.
there talking about I'm so stupid, I don't know what I'm talking about. What? Okay,
Right.
so 2020, man.
What's up,
2020.
niece? Niece watching on YouTube. What's
Hey.
going on? Yeah, and that's you remember when I said I was going to turn into a different direction? That's what I was going to do. I was going to say we used to talk about Will and Jade. I was going to speaking of
Oh.
entanglements. I think you know what? I apologize to all the viewers. I apologize. I think we had finally put that word to rest. It had a good couple weeks stint. I think we finally put that word to rest, and I just revived it. So I do apologize. But speaking of relationships, that whole thing that you talked about with Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, I think there are now some talks of deportation with that. Man, what's your thoughts on that, bro? Because it's like
do we
that's
do we
a
know do we know what happened yet?
um. So here's the thing. I think because of who they are, the status of those two figures, a true 100% story hasn't came out.
Right.
We know this. We do know this for a fact by the videos and the things that surface and by Megan Thee Stallion's thing that she did on her platform. We know that she was shot. And here's the thing. When I first saw the video of the cops coming to the scene and all of them coming out of the SUV one by one, Megan Thee Stallion, she was limping like on like one foot. Like if you sprain your ankle, you limp to one side. So, they're doing the commands, walk backwards towards me, keep coming, and you can see like the blood splatter, like which each step she was taking. So I was thinking it was 1 foot. Well, according to her Instagram live that she did in her addressing of the situation, she was shot in both feet, foots.
Like
feet.
like 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 Jesus was nailed to both feet.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we do know that, and the allegation is that Tory Lanez did it. And so
now they're saying they're about to deport him.
Yeah. So that's
But
the talks. It's not definite yet, but that's the mode. And actually, I think they started the call for it on his birthday. Like it was after the event, they started the call, the drive or the push to get him deported on his birthday. So it's like, hey, happy birthday!
Yeah.
We call it for you to get up out of here. So even with that situation, bro, it was like, man, for me, outside looking in, here's what I don't know. I just didn't see it come across my feed. I know we mentioned before we started, like a little bit of that. Is it some toxic masculinity going on there? Is it some fault on both sides? But here's one thing that I didn't see, especially in this kind of what we call cancel culture that we're living in right now. I didn't see a strong outcry against that attack, on a black woman. I didn't see it, at least on my viewpoint across social media. It's like ain't nobody really talking about it. So
I think because nobody knows what happened.
Yeah.
And I have seen talk of a post that might not be real, but it's being shared a lot because people kind of agree with the sentiment, which I don't understand, but we can talk about it. Is the post was saying that Meg, for whatever reason, was upset about something. So, she was basically attacking Tori. And in self defense, he shot her in the feet. Now she's 5'10", 5'11", with heels on, maybe 6'1", and she's not a small woman. And he's only 5'3". So maybe there could have been, a little man complex. Maybe there could have been a tall girl complex. But one of the biggest questions I have is, what does that mean if Tori did shoot Megan? That why? What is this loyalty to not just say it? What are you still protecting, even though this has happened to you? Why do you feel that necessary need to still protect somebody that I guess you care about? But, somebody shoot me in the foot. It ain't gonna take me long to say who it was.
Yeah.
They shot me in the foot. Yo, I'll be like, yo, this dude really shot me in the foot, yo.
Okay, so my sis said that she was mad that she was flirting, or he was mad. Wait, she was mad that he was flirting with Kylie Jenner.
Okay, so now let's break this down. Let's say this. First thing, I don't care how mad or how big she is. If you're a grown man and you gotta take a gun and shoot a woman, you need to not be around women for a while. Simple as that.
You are a coward.
You don't need to be. You don't need it because you can handle yourself a better way than that. Especially given the fact that this weapon was used to oppress your people and your ancestors, and now you're using it against the very thing that you came from. No way.
That's now, okay. Let me add some fuel to that fire too before you move on from that point. Hold that thought. The thing is, you have been okay. Evelyn did say that's what she heard. Okay, so because we have to put those disclaimers out there. But
right.
Here's the thing. You've been in the industry all these years. You've been in other situations, I'm sure. First of all, with him being his stature, I'm a short guy, right? So ain't no short jokes for people to know that I'm a short guy. But for him to be of his stature, which he's shorter than I am, I'm sure he's had some situations, right? Even the video that went viral where he was in the studio, he did the freestyle. He jumped down out the chair. He was still the same height.
I've never watched him. Like, I've been so disconnected from that world to where if you show me a picture of him right now, I would go, oh, that's what he looked like? Okay.
Yeah.
But I do hear the music all the time, so I'm aware of the music. Yeah.
So that's my thing, though. All I was putting, because I don't want you to forget your thought, all I was just adding to what you said about that, it's pretty much no excuse. He's been in situations, been in the industry where it was probably a threat of some physicality or something, but for it to be a woman, a black woman that you actually shot in both feet, like come on.
Well, here's thing about that, to speak on that real quick. But that's because of her power and the black woman's power. Nobody can trigger a man more than a black woman can. And I'm only saying that from experience. And I don't mean that in a way to where it's her fault. She gets you on a deeper level. So she can hit you in ways that can't nobody else hit you because they don't understand you. Ain't nobody real with you, right? But she can read you, and she triggered him.
Yeah,
she triggered him from some stuff that he didn't deal with growing up with his childhood, probably, or whatever culture that he adopted into his psyche, to where he feels like it's okay to even walk around with a gun. You rich, and you do R&B music. You shouldn't have no enemies to where you need to even be walking around with a gun. You should have security, maybe. How about that? And then you with this woman, you shot a woman, bro. But I'm a tag him now. You shot bro. You shot bro feet though. Because I'm riding the TV. I'm riding.
It was another woman in the SUV too. There were two. If I'm not mistaken, it was he and two women. Because one got out. Megan got out of the right side of the SUV, and I only saw that one video. And the other one.
Why did they get pulled over?
I don't know. I just when the video started, the video that I saw that was going around, and I actually saw this on the Convos app. When the video it starts with her already walking backwards, and I guess the call. I'm not sure if one call or whatever. That's how it happened. I'm not even sure who made the call or anything like that. But that when they arrive on the scene, that's what you see. So.
Yeah, I was wondering why the gun was even necessary. Right. So it's not necessary. But with that triggering, and depending on how that situation went, maybe he felt like it was, but outside looking in, that was an awful choice.
Yeah.
But going to Meg and the Stallion, let's break that situation down because everybody has flaws, right? Men and women. I think we're both accountable for situations. Now, did she deserve to get shot in her feet? No, absolutely not. Does she have some accountability and responsibility in that situation? Yes. Not to get shot, but to even be involved in a situation where you're connected to a situation to get shot. You know what I mean?
And that's what I will say. In her, I don't know if you've seen it, but I will say this, and this is not, I guess maybe so in her defense. That's what some of the stuff she addressed in her live that she did. It was a breakdown where she talked about, losing her mom and everything, and how she's going to watch the crowds and the situations that she put herself in, because that's one of the things. It was really emotional when she first addressed it. And that's what she was saying. She was saying, I'm paraphrasing, but like where you give your all to people and you just share and you trust that people, are taking you for who you are, and they have your best interest, where you put yourself in situations where you should never been in the first place. And so that was some of the stuff that she was talking about. And so I did like her. I didn't watch it all, but for what I saw, I did like the way she addressed that, because that's what she started with. She said, look, I know it's something I'm working on. And she actually put to surface some of her trauma and some of the stuff that she was dealing with that allowed her to be in certain situations where that could happen.
Right. And so good. That's good for her. Because in order to break down, in order to really get a full perspective, man, you got to see both sides and see how both people attracted that situation to themselves. Even with Will and Jada and August, like, don't just look at Jada and her flaws. Look at Will too. Look at August. Like, everybody got a part in this. You know what I mean? Like, why was Jada so depressed to where she felt like she didn't have an outlet? And she said, for the first time in years, I felt happy. But you have a husband. So what was this? And what was Will doing to you to have this feeling over your life to where you don't feel happy? And if you go back to years before and read listen to some of her earlier Red Table Talks, Will was trying to create a life for her that she didn't want. And so what does that look like when you're in a relationship and you have this idea of what it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to look like, but it's blinded you from being it's blinded you from being aware of the person in front of you and who they are, how they feel, and what they need and what they don't need, and building your life in connection with that versus just trying to force everything into that fantasy bubble you have, because it could lead to people that you're connected to lose some joy because you're suppressing them from being able to express theirs. You know what I mean? Yeah. So with Meg and Tori, if it is true, because we don't know the story yet, but you mad that
I think we could be 99.9%.
Well, I'm talking about this part of not with the shot, but like what led to that.
Yeah, I got you.
They're talking about, like, she was angry that he was flirting with Kylie Jenner, and if that's the case, then that's something to address, because you're on a date or you're hanging out with an international star who makes music about sex, and he has a cool personality, which means there are gonna be women everywhere you go flaunting after this dude. So what was the triggering? Was it just a woman? Because I'm sure she's seen him around women all the time before, or was it this particular woman that maybe you felt threatened by, or maybe you felt unheard when you tried to bring it to his attention and he snapped back. And since you're already going through your own trauma with your loss recently, maybe that's you snap back and then he snapped back and then we're all just reacting to triggers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because of that environment that we're in. And I don't see people going to that family to get healing. I see a lot of people go there for their psyche to be put on display.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point, man. And my sis, she said something that was speaking. I think both of those comments was on Will and Jada. She said you don't hear a lot about her taking accountability. And then and Will said it's not the other person's responsibility to make you happy.
Right.
Right there.
And that was powerful for me. I needed to hear that because that's big. Nobody teaches you that is not nobody's job to make you happy, and it's not your job to make somebody else happy. And
I think go ahead. No, keep going.
Oh, last thing I was gonna say was that so he was trying to make her happy by building her this big old house with a lake in the back, which was a bad idea. And then also she might have been looking for somebody to make her happy and vice versa. Like they were probably doing that to each other and realize like, damn, we can only be happy for ourselves and by ourselves, but we share it with each other versus trying to bring it out of somebody. You know what I mean? What's up, Mama Juju?
Mama Juju in the house. Man, I gotta get me a soundboard, bro. I'm doing, pretty much all my coaching is virtual. I do all these videos and stuff, and we do bro study, and I've been on a couple of podcasts. I need to buy me a soundboard, man, because I want, like, when Mama Juju come into the bro study, we need to like bah, 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 bah.
But it's an app. Just download the app.
You're right. See, man, that's why
you got the horn.
See, man, that's why you're so dope. But yeah, going back to that quote and what we were talking about with is not the other person's responsibility to make you happy. That is a hard thing for both parties in any relationship, whether it's professional, romantic, any kind of relationship. That is a hard thing for both parties to take in and really digest. That is no one else's responsibility to make you happy. Because here's the thing that I say a lot, and I used to say it more often in like my videos and stuff. Happiness, first of all, happiness comes from a happening. When things are not happening in the way that it's going to reflect that emotion, you're not going to be happy, right? So I always tell people, seek that joy, that thing that's in the bottom, where even when you're sad, you have that joy of knowing that, okay, I'm going through a certain thing right now, and I'm dealing with the process of these emotions that I have, but I'm still good. I'm good. But that happiness, right? So.
And what you're saying to that, if I can speak on that, to me, that sounds like actually processing your emotions with the intent to let go of that negative emotion. But people think because you let go of the negative feeling, then that takes away your power to be able to address the situation. It doesn't. You don't have to be mad to fix a problem.
You do not. Oh, that. You know what? We should have a scroll. Somebody, that's a message right there. That's a word, because and again, it goes back to something you said. We're not taught how to process things correctly, right? We're victims of our environment and our history. And when I say history, I mean the way our parents saw something, they taught us a certain way, and the way family and different stuff, our cultures, right? We're products of our environment, and we're not taught how to deal with these emotions because we're never taught how to go inside and to dig and sit there, like be comfortable with self. I think, in my opinion, I think mental health is such a broad and hot topic right now, because now I think with this information age that we're in, and with us getting flooded with so much stuff, we're realizing that, wait, we've never been taught how to process the stuff we had, the information we had before. And now that we're getting flooded all the time.
A lot of people don't even know that, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, they're
And
still
that's
unaware that they don't even know.
mm-hmm.
And the problem is they think they know so much.
Brandon, I got a question. So, because here I am the architect of levity and humor. I got a question.
Hmm.
For people watching, do I sound as good or as loud as Brandon? Because you sound like I feel like I'm listening to a radio broadcaster because the mic is right. The mic is
Bro,
right there.
you gotta get you a mic,
When you
man.
talk, no, I got my mic now.
Oh,
So
you got
what I
it?
have, yeah, but because I don't have it right here in my face,
Oh,
I have my level
oh.
down a little bit, and so I know
Yeah.
with yours,
No,
if
you
I need
sound
to
good though.
match, yeah, okay. If I need to
Yeah.
match, I can turn it up a little bit. Yeah, man, I told you
Oh.
I had to do it. I was like, man, my bro out here stunting on me. He got his mic, and I'll be watching you. I'll be watching you and Fred and Duncan, man, and y'all sound. I was like, man, everybody got mics. Everybody, I got to get me a mic. So yeah,
Yeah.
we made an
Yeah.
investment. So
Nice.
I got a good one, man. But
Nice.
I just wanted to
Nice.
know if I sound as good as you do. Anyway, yeah, okay. So that's it right there. We pass that on to our kids, our mentees, our neighbors, our friends. I think we
And you know, with that passing on, that's genetically too. And you know how they'll say back
wait. Well,
home,
hold on. Time out. Pause, sis. I don't know how to take that. She said. I said.
Kevin Hardy's. Yeah, that's funny.
Why he gotta be Idris though?
That's that's funny.
I would be Kevin
So
Hart. I would be the little guy with the little voice. I know. Whatever. Anyway.
so it's so you know how that whole thing we grew up with, where like, oh, you know, they got diabetes or they got high cholesterol because it runs in the family. No, it doesn't run in the family. It's in your genes, and if you don't address those things in your genes, you pass those genes down. And it's not that the person is going to have diabetes or high cholesterol, but the environment, it can be the DNA can be triggered by the environment. You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
where it will perpetuate those same habits because that's what it's used to seeing. You know what I mean? That's what it's used to
Mm-hmm.
knowing. So you got to
Yeah.
go undo it or alter those genes. You know what I mean? By meditation or by, you know, doing your own spiritual inner work and
Changing what you're
healing.
eating. Yeah.
Right.
All that stuff.
But so then you'll unintentionally pass down things and characteristics in your child, and then get mad at the child because they acting out,
Woo.
and then not even seeing, yo, they doing the same thing
Bro.
you was doing. Why you
Bro.
mad? You should be
You
able
know
to know
what?
how to talk to that. You know what I mean?
Just in you saying that, I know you're not a parent, right?
Not yet.
Okay, I was just making sure. I was like,
I feel like
you know,
I've been one though since I was little.
dude, me too. Like if you got a
Yeah.
lot of nephews and nieces, and then I have two godchildren, so to me, I really am, and I've been a mentor since high school, and so it's always been younger people in my, and one of my early on, well, not early on, really, it was a late comer. I was already out of college, but one of my mentees just graduated college last December from Auburn University. So I feel like, I am that. But when you said that, it made me think like, dude, we got a topic for bro. And I say that because neither one of us are biological parents, but that's a whole topic right there. The stuff we pass down through our kids. And I know my sis, she is a parent, and she was talking about how we pass stuff on to our kids and mentees. And it's a lot of stuff that is, and this is what I say, just like you said, it's not, people say it's they have it, it's hereditary and all this stuff. No, it's because you grow up and you learn a certain system of habits. And if you do the same things, okay, yeah, you probably gonna get the same results.
Yeah, because if you they figured this out when they was programming and brainwashing and experimenting on us, that if you can program a psyche long enough and give it a habit long enough, you don't necessarily have to teach the child the same thing. It'll just naturally pick it up and do it on its own, especially if it gets triggered by the environment that looked like the one before. So
Boom.
they saw that. They like, okay, we know how to break
Yeah.
this family down. Let's
Yep.
program them with some badass ideas, and we'll just let it trickle it down to where, yeah, slavery ended, right? But no, it didn't, because all that DNA is still locked in somewhere. It still
Yeah.
got all these programmed ideas about imprisonment, imprisoning yourself into words or ideas or trauma or emotions, and nobody has to do it to you because you do it to yourself.
Yep. And it was just like that comment that my sis made. She said, the gene is there, it just haven't been activated. She said, the
Right.
studies that back up that connection between like mental health and things like Alzheimer's and different things, that's it. At some point along the way, you are constantly activating that thing. You're constantly watering that seed that's planted. Like it may be a seed there, right? That's that generational part of it, right? Okay, grandfather, big mama, mama, auntie, great grandma, they did a certain thing. Granddad, dad did a certain thing. And so it may be a seed there, but you don't have to water that. You know what I'm saying? You can plant and water a new seed, but once it's activated, oh, now you got some problems because now you got that negative report. Now you got that, oh yeah, you're pre-diabetic. Oh, you're diabetic. Oh yeah, you have this. You're pre this. You have cancerous traits and all this stuff. So I think
And
that's huge.
a lot of times half that stuff could have been straight up lies, but since we're such powerful beings, you believe it,
Yeah.
and you can pass down a disease because you think you got
Di-
it,
diabetes.
because you think you
Diabetes.
got it. Like, I mean, generations of people say, "Oh, it's just in my family," so that's why you could have been scot free from it, but just spoken unto yourself. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's definitely some truth to that whole idea of power in your tongue, but
Ooh, a
the
lot of truth to that.
yeah, because I mean you're sending out waves and vibrations from out
Energy.
of this energy from in this system, this universal system inside of you, that temple, and it's gonna bring something back to you. You know what I
And,
mean? Just like
you're telling your outer universe to agree and align with what's going on in my inner universe, and
mm-hmm.
out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaking. So you're saying, okay, this is something you already believe to say that. It's in your mind and your heart to say, oh yeah, oh man, yeah, diabetes running my family. And boom, you put out that signal until you change what you're saying, that's what you're attracting to you. And it keeps coming back. And
Yeah.
that's something that I constantly tell people and work with people on. It's like, wait, what are you saying? What are you writing down? What are you speaking about the situation that you're in? Because our subconscious and our mind has a tendency to lock on to that last thing that we say. So I wanna, man, I just can't seem to do this or that. Well, you're locking in on to I can't. It's not making this distinction between I don't think and I just can't. It's just saying I can't. It's making it simple and plain, and you're
and,
putting that out in the universe.
and even things like I think or I hope or I believe or I'm humble. All these things are putting yourself at a lower state versus elevating yourself. But people say, "Oh, don't have an ego, humble yourself," and they don't understand what that means because they never studied it. You know what I mean? You get third, fourth, fifth hand information from somebody who doesn't even know their native tongue, who's been
Mm,
programmed to speak another language, who's been programmed by a group of people who intentionally want you to be troubled within your own self. So this is the way they're going to teach you that language. And you expect me to think that you fully know the difference between an ego and being humble and being God? No. And says something to like just start right there and go, wait, no way we can know it all right now. So let me go deeper and start really asking questions for myself and getting a full understanding. Because people think, oh, you need to kill your ego or you shouldn't have one. That's impossible to not have one. You are your ego. Like that's a part of
mm-hmm.
your psyche. There's a double part of you. Like you are light and you are dark. When you walk outside, like Mama Juju always show me, you got a shadow right there and it ain't going nowhere as long as that sun is there. So um the thing is to be aware that it's there, right? And the second thing is to be in harmony with it, because you can't kill it.
Right.
You only know how to work with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
On the temple walls in Egypt, because we talk about Heru a lot, who later becomes the Christ figure, which is you just rising up to your higher self. He has to fight his uncle Set, which his head, it was a donkey's head or some type of animal, which represented like the ass or the lower self or the lower dominant chakras. But there are temples to where there's one body, but it's a dual head, and it's Heru and it's Set
Mm-hmm.
Heru. And the idea is that you're both of these. You are the yin and the yang, or you are Batman as well as Joker. Like
Right.
you're the hero, but you are the villain. The villain is the low self-esteem part of yourself, the insecure part of yourself, the part of yourself that tells you lies about yourself all the time. I'm not good enough. I'm not ready. I hope I can be something one day. Like, what? That's not your friend to be saying stuff to you like that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's you doing it to yourself, but in the form of this lower form of yourself. But then you have a higher form of yourself uh, that says more positive things about you or the truth about who you are. And so you're always in that constant battle. That's where that real war is. The war is in the mind. You know what I mean? And when you find peace in the mind, then the rest of the body follows, you know? So you cut the head off, then the body is messed up. So that's why we're so messed up, because our head been cut off. Like we don't remember nothing about where we're from. We don't remember who we are. We don't remember what we sound like. We don't know really right from wrong because we got limited information on it. Like very, very limited information on the psyche and the mind. Like stuff that therapists and psychiatrists get after going to school for what 20 years just to get your PhD. This is stuff that we used to have firsthand growing up in the house, sitting on the freaking counter. You know what I mean? And now it's been taken away to where you got to spend 20 years of your life just to get that little bit of information back, just to help you understand your own mind.
Ching. Bro, I was making sure that I was taking it all in. I was making sure that I don't interrupt that flow, that line of thought that you had going, because it's so true. And I think that is 99% of the battle. It is battling self and going inside and realizing the war appears the most important war that you need to win and that you need to conquer. And it's so, it flows over into every aspect of life. What you do, and what you say, and everything that you have going on in your life, in and around your life, it all started here. It was the concept first. And so it's so crazy, man. I was watching my bro Kirk Nugent, man, and he was doing a live a few weeks ago. I tuned into, I think I shared it too. I was like, oh, he was talking about even how negative things that happen and stuff, there is some kind of connection or link to what you attracted into your universe, even subconsciously. And the way he explained it was a whole lot better than what I can do, man. Just a well-versed brother, but I was like, wow, what he was saying. But yeah, Ellen said, I wish I knew what my native tongue was. And yeah, that's one of those things where now I think it's one of those things. I think a good question to ask yourself is the desire to know where you come from. Is that question of why? The state where you're in and what you're coming from and what you're being taught, we know it's trash. And so it's now going into your mind to create that thing and to make that connection, because there are many people who's done it and done a whole lot better job at it than me, who make that connection of knowing how to communicate with that past self or the ancestors, to be able to say, okay, listen, I may not know my native tongue, right? Because I definitely wish I knew mine, but I can operate in a different level to where now I unclothe and I unlearn some of this language that I've been taught, and I relearn how to speak in the positive. Like, for instance, this is just a small example, and it's just one of the things. Again, this is me. This is not reflection on anybody else or not telling anybody what to do, but it's a few things that I rarely say in my vocabulary unless I'm attempting to relate. And even I just replaced one of them with attempting. Trying, good morning, hope, wish. It's just certain little small things that I've all but eliminated. Again, I say all but eliminated because it's certain things, it's certain times I may say try to relate to someone because they're like, wait, what you mean? Or, good, rarely, even when I say it, it's like, but like good morning. Like if we look at
me and I stopped saying that too.
Yeah. Like, dude, like people ask me
but
why
you
you
know
say
what
Grand
though?
Rising, and I talk about it, But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Because I'm on the same page as you. That's why we stopped, and we said, we start. So what we do, we'll send emojis to be inspiring and loving. You
Nice.
know what I mean? Because Grand Rising sometimes sounds kind of like almost kind of like Hotep a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
it's
Oh no, a
nice,
lot. I've got that.
but
I've got that
yeah,
before.
you know what I mean. But then I just literally thought just now, like, but why did they say good morning? You know what I mean? Like thinking it from another perspective, because the one that we currently have is that like that just sound bad. Like, morning means death. But, they say, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Life is but a dream. So we're in the death place now, actually, the necropolis, or that neither world that they talk about. And when we leave here, apparently is when you actually go live. You know what I mean? When you
Right.
break out of this shell. So maybe that good morning was, yo, I know we're in mourning, but we'll be good about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But
maybe. That's a good way to look at it. Oh,
so,
my
but
sis, I missed it, man. She gave a pushback. She said, I've not been in school that long. So when you was talking about all those years, people go to school to do counseling and therapy. She's like, I ain't been in school that long.
I'm talking about like from pre-K to 12th grade. Then you
Yeah.
got to do 4 years of undergrad, so that's 16. Then you usually got to get your master's, so it's like 2-3 more years, 18. So then that's what I meant by that. From like the time you're born to the time about psychiatry on a master level or a doctorate level, that's about 20 years of your life. But in
Yeah.
Egypt,
True.
you had to go to the temples for 40 years before you became a priest. So,
Right.
but they didn't come out 40 years later just knowing how to meditate or knowing how to communicate what I'm mad about. Like they knew how to dissect galaxies. So 20 years to learn how to say, you know what? I'm sorry. You're right. Please forgive me. And I'm not diminishing it, but I'm stretching out the example compared to spending 40 years being educated on the entire universe. You know what I mean?
Right.
And being able to correlate that to what's going on inside of your mind.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How can we get back to that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
If we're gonna spend that much time of our life trying to learn something.
I'm trying to think of what we often share outside of bro study, like different series and stuff we watch. And I'm trying to remember if it was Avatar or the first Airbender, or if I was watching Hannah, the series on Amazon. I can't remember which one where they were talking about understanding the stars. And the person responded like, wait, the galaxies and stuff like that. And the response was like, yeah, like this is that and that. And it's like, even just stuff like that is in movies and TV and series. I take it a whole lot different. And I'm like, wow, like what if we had that ability to connect everything? Because again, the universe is a reflection of what's going on inside. The outer world is a reflection of what goes on inside of here. And so it's like, man, how amazing would that be?
Yeah, man. I agree. Hopefully we can one day. And I think we are. My battery about to die, so I had to turn the mic off.
Cool. Well, we look, that's cool because we had about 54 minutes, so that cool. That worked out good.
Nice. But yeah, man, I think we're slowly getting back to it. We just got a little ways to go, but I think we're gonna go beyond that.
Yeah. And one thing, I want to go back to one thing Mama Juju said that I didn't when we were talking about that whole idea of nobody else is responsible for your happiness. I just wanted to go back and reflect on that because it comes to a good closing too. She said, we're taught if you love me, you have to validate it by showing me, doing things and being only for me. And that right there is just so many misunderstandings of what we've been taught about love and relationships and how we progress through this thing called life. And I think the quicker we can, again, unlearn and relearn, and to really get in depth with who we are and our ability to respond, our responsibility in all things, I just think we're headed in a good direction. The quicker we can get to that point.
Yeah, take responsibility off of everybody except for yourself.
Period. Period. With a T on the end.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Period. Cool, bro. Well, look, man, hey, I appreciate it, man. Always good to chat it up on these bro studies. Appreciate everybody that tuned in. Shout out to my sis Evelyn Nicole, man, for just chiming in so much. Just gave a lot of good stuff. She just put in something that's definitely. We definitely agree with that. She said you have to be open to that while you are learning scholarly things. Getting a PhD is no joke. It is a process that you experience inwardly and outwardly. You become a philosopher and are forced to look at yourself throughout the process.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And I'm working with one. Well, Natalie is, and we were working with one before. Counselor, good friend of ours. His name is Anthony Rucker, Boogie. Shout out to Boogie. He's dope, man. So no, I get it and I understand it, and I plan on reaching back out to Boogie soon. For myself personally, because you learn, man, that there's certain things that you just have to understand how to process about yourself, you know what I mean, and how you deal with certain things. It's not that something's wrong with you or like you got this issue, but what I've learned from myself lately is that certain things that I realized that I just struggle to fully understand how to process. I have the desire to process it, and I do pretty good with it, but sometimes I'm still affected by it. And man, what I've learned from this experience is that, man, there's some terms we have no idea about, right? And you talk to a therapist or a psychiatrist, and you're like, oh, dang, the way you just put that, I never looked at it that way. And that's so simple. It makes so much sense. But how is this word or this idea or this paragraph that you just gave me to help me with the situation, how has this just been missed away, you know what I mean, for this whole time until just now?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's what I need to do.
Right. So there's definitely a scientific mental connection to that, man. So big ups to everybody out there in the field, man, and doing that. And I scratch on the surfaces of it with life coaching, but that deep inner connection and stuff like that. That's what that study does for you. So, but again, it's all about going inside, man, and really digging down deep and putting stuff out there on the platter so you can deal with it.
Yeah. Like I said, I wasn't trying to. Oh, dang.
I think we just I think Brandon's battery just died. So I appreciate all y'all, man. I'll tune in into another bro study. And as always, look, man, let me just end this on the ways I end all my videos, just to give some encouragement and some a little firepower to what you have going on in your life. I always start with Murphy's Law. You are somebody. Today you are great. Tomorrow you will be greater because Miss Murphy said so, and I concur. Also, my 3 W's. Know that the universe is aligned to give you what you want, will, and work for in that order. 5 P's, let your power give you a passion that will pin you to your purpose. And once you plan properly, experience prosperity that is spiritually, mentally, socially, physically, and financially. And know that you can do any and everything that you seek to do in this life and the next because you are the 5 C's, baby. You're capable, competent, confident, conscious, and courageous to do any and everything that you seek to do in this life and the next. So get up, get out, get something, make it happen, people. As always, God loves you, so do I. And I want you to love life, live love, peace, together, not apart. Y'all take care.